and welcome to my video on the Heath Advantis and how to feed it a Dante input. Specifically, I'm feeding it from Pro Tools through Dante Virtual Soundcard. First and foremost, you got to understand that the Advantis only operates at 96 kilohertz, so you want to feed it any Dante input has to be 96K. So this particular Pro Tools session, if you're creating a new Pro Tools session, make sure you're setting it to 96K. If you're mixing one, make sure it's at 96K. Here at NESCom, a lot of the sessions we mix are at 48K, so you kind of want to double check. The way you do that is you go Setup, Session. Oh, I hit the wrong thing there. Session, Setup, Session, and up in the upper left there, sample rate is at 96K. If it's not at 96K and you need to change the sample rate of your session, it's very simple. Go File, Save Copy In, change your sample rate there to 96K, name it, save it, do all that stuff, close your current file, and reopen the new one that's been saved at 96 kilohertz. So that's what you do. So with Pro Tools already ready to go at 96 kilohertz, we need to get Dante Virtual Soundcard going. So find in the Applications folder, Dante Virtual Soundcard, get it up. If it's already running, good. If it's not and you see the Start button, press the Start button. It is currently running on this computer, and so that's why there's a stop button. And you can kind of see grayed out. It gives you 32 channels of ins and outs that Pro Tools can feed Dante with. So one other thing about the Dante Virtual Soundcard, you have to tell it to run at 96 kilohertz. Otherwise, things won't happen for you. The way you can change its sample rate is not in the Dante Virtual Soundcard app. You have to open up the Dante Controller app. So search on the computer for Dante Controller, open that up. And here it is. And you can actually see what's going on here. The Dante, you can see two Dante devices transmitting, two Dante devices receiving. One of them is the Advantis console, and one of them is Dante Virtual Soundcard. If you go to Device Info, and you select Dante Virtual Soundcard, and I double-clicked on it, and I go to Device Config, I can change its sample rate to 96 kilohertz, which I've already done. So Dante Virtual Soundcard is running at 96K. So that's a really important step there, otherwise things will not be happy for you. Okay, with all that done, with Dante Virtual Soundcard running, you can then open Pro Tools and set Pro Tools to run Dante Virtual Soundcard. So the playback engine of Pro Tools has to be set to Dante Virtual Soundcard. This may take you a couple restarts to get it right, but you need Dante Virtual Soundcard running, then Pro Tools set to Dante Virtual Soundcard and open. Once that's all done, you can double check that your hardware shows up as Dante Virtual Soundcard. And once you open up your I/O, your inputs and outputs should register as Dante Virtual Soundcard. Okay, cool. So that's the hard part. With that done, let's do what I do in all of my videos, and that is I'm going to delete all the existing I/O. I want to start fresh so there's nothing weird going on. So I do that. I go to the Input tab. I'm going to hold Option down. I'm going to click one, select all of them, delete them. Go to the Output tab. Another way to do that is hit Select one, do a Command A for Select All, and hit Delete. Also delete all your buses if they're there. Once that's done, make sure you're set to your default format of stereo and hit the default button and make a bunch of stereo outputs. It makes monos while it makes stereos, which is kind of cool for you. So I'm going to default input, output, and bus. With that all ready to go, I'm going to hit OK. And now, when I go to my mix window, I'm going to select all my channels. How do I select them all? I have Option down, click a track, and once they're all white, they're all selected. On the first channel, the one on the most left, I'm going to do the bear claw Command, Option Shift, and I'm going to route its output to mono output 1. So as long as I do mono, not stereo, it should cascade them all one through the whatever number tracks you have. So that's already ready to go. So I'm going to loop this now. It should be feeding Dante. So I'm just going to select a little chunk here and loop it. And while we're doing that, we got to now patch Dante Virtual Soundcard to the Advantis. And you do that by returning to the Dante Controller app. And you know what? I may have left the patches on from the other night when I made a video of this before. Let's check it out. I did. See, the floater rig, the DVS here, this is the computer I'm currently working on. It's feeding channels, output 1 through, and I really need to have all my channels, you know, maybe all my 32, are feeding the Advantis inputs 1 through 32. So you just do this. You would start with 1 to 1, and you would make a nice patch there. And so this is sending them Dante Virtual Sound Card to the Dante network over to the Avantis. With that done, now we have a Dante cord cable, right? That's coming from the Ethernet port from my Dante network on the back of the rack over to the Dante in on the Avantis. So with that set, now we just got to patch Dante into the inputs. This is the easiest part of the job. So I'm going to click I/O, and I'm going to do inputs because that's what we're doing. And I'm going to pick, on this particular console, we have the Dante card in the second slot there, I/O port 2. And all I have to do is hit patch, and I'm going to pick Dante card, I/O port 2 inputs to channel 1 on the console. And you can always zoom in, which is really nice, or you can zoom out, depending on how you want to work. It's somewhere in between is kind of nice. And I'm going to patch, whoops, I got off the screen there. I'm going to do this really, here we go, hit patch, and I really like that you can do that on this console. It's fast. And you can see that Dante is coming into all the inputs, so this did work. And one last thing to remember, if you can, is that who is the leader, who is the master clock for this little 2-device Dante network? And what we do here at NESCom is we always make the console the master. There'll be other times to do it the other way. But the way you define the leader in Dante speak is in Dante controller, and you go to clock status. And you can see here it's already been set this way that the Advantis is the master clock. And you can change this if you want. You can do it over here by clicking preferred master. Here, I'll hit stop on Pro Tools, and I could change to what you can't actually, because Dante Virtual Sound Card always has to be a follower. So the console had to be the master because the Dante Virtual Sound Card can never be the master. Okay, will that work? I think that pretty much covers everything. Have a great day.